All right, First Chronicles chapter 9, let's call this one Mighty and subtitle it Free, because this time we're going to get the genealogy of those who returned from exile. And most noteworthy among them are probably going to be the Levites, because most of the chapter is going to describe the Levites' roles. Like we said, the book of Numbers went beyond being a simple census to helping us understand everyone's role and responsibility. This time, in helping to rebuild Jerusalem. But it's not just going to be the Levites. Some from the tribe of Judah are also going to come along with those from the tribes of Benjamin, Ephraim, and Manasseh. But they are, as we said, not going to be the focus of this chapter, as it is going to go on to tell us that among the Levites, of course, the priests returned, and not just the priests, those who were responsible for security, because later books like Ezra and Nehemiah are going to help us understand the external threats to rebuilding that some of Israel's neighbors were going to pose as they tried to begin rebuilding the temple. So security is going to be really important, and we're going to see those who were responsible for security as the exiles returned. Likewise, those who had the day-to-day responsibilities over things like the utensils to be used at the temple. And then something that I hadn't seen as much before, even though they mentioned musicians before, they're going to say something interesting about the singers in verse 33, where it's going to say, now these singers, the heads of fathers' houses of the Levites, were in the chambers of the temple, free from other service, for they were on duty day and night. These were heads of fathers' houses of the Levites, according to their generations, leaders. These lived in Jerusalem. And that reminded me so much of something I saw in the Acts as it's describing the foundation of the early church. It's going to say this in a relatively famous portion of Acts chapter 6, verse 1. Now in these days, when the disciples were increasing in number, a complaint by the Hellenists arose against the Hebrews because their widows were being neglected in the daily distribution. And the 12 summoned the full number of the disciples and said, it is not right that we should give up preaching the word of God to serve tables. Therefore, it is going to go on to talk about how they effectively apportioned responsibility so that they could go back to focusing on helping the group grow. And that's exactly what it's going to say down in verse 7, where it says, and the word of God continued to increase, and the number of the disciples multiplied greatly in Jerusalem, and a great many of the priests became obedient to the faith. That helped me understand how both during the rebuilding process in Israel and the building of the first church out of the nation of Israel, one of the things that the word points out in both situations is the way in which effectively apportioning responsibilities was linked to their ability to grow. And so in situations where we find ourselves looking for a healthy fit, understand, as we are using the theme mighty this week, your ability to be mighty and reach your potential has everything to do with whether or not you can find a healthy fit with people who are eager to step up and take responsibility in a way that allows you to be at your best. And so, as we often say, my prayer for you is my prayer for me, that in looking to reach our potential, that we, one, be the kind of people who are driven to actually reach our potential, and that God bring us into partnership with people who are likewise self-motivated to take responsibility in ways that empowers us to be at our best.